Hello, everybody. It's Mr. Robbie here on Halloween night 2024. And if you're wondering how we celebrate Halloween in Switzerland, well, we don't. But we do. Let me explain. Halloween is not a tradition in Switzerland or in Zurich, as we see here on the website, the Zurich website. Admittedly, Halloween is not a tradition in Zurich, but it is still possible to be spooked here. So there are a lot of things to do on Halloween. Trick-or-treating is usually not one of them. Halloween is basically that's the wrong word, celebrated or observed in with private parties or at clubs, nightclubs, things like that, where they have costume parties, things like that. Now, I will give you a couple of anecdotes of my own experience in having Halloween in Switzerland, where I used to live, not my former apartment, but a while ago, about 22 years ago, at a different place, different town. I and my neighbor organized a Halloween party for children in the neighborhood, and we rented a little party house, which was just across the street from us, so it wasn't, was not expensive, but it also wasn't far away, so we could just walk across the street. And because at that time, in the early 2000s, late 90s and early 2000s, Halloween was sort of becoming known in Switzerland because, children growing up, they see things on TV and movies, and they want to experience those types of things because it's fun, it's for children and for families, and it's fun. So we organized a Halloween party with lots of games and candy and food, and we had some of the other mothers and parents around to, help with the food and decorating and whatever, all of that. I made a big piñata. It was huge, round pumpkin piñata, and the kids loved that. We also had a lot of games and spooky games and stories, spooky stories, and the children wanted to go trick-or-treating because they'd never done it before. So I took them trick-or-treating to a few of the apartment buildings around, and they loved it. The only thing was that a lot of the people, they came to the door and they see all these people, all these children, dressed up in costumes, and they don't say trick-or-treat. They yell Happy Halloween. So Happy Halloween. Because trick-or-treat is not in the language. At least it wasn't then, and I'm not sure about how it is now. So the adults and people that came to the door, they were surprised. They're like, what's going on here? And we had to explain to them it's Halloween. You have to give them something. So some of them had candy, they gave cookies or candy or whatever they had there. A couple of people, I think, were not surprised, or they were quite happy, and nobody refused to give, even though they didn't know what it was all about, they'd never heard of it or seen it before, but they enjoyed it. All of the kids loved it, and the adults and people that we visited were really nice about it, and everybody got something. And so that was one of my Halloween anecdotes. Another time after that, we didn't do the party after that, but all of the kids in the neighborhood knew that I was the candy man in the neighborhood. So every year they would come to my apartment, and I would have lots of treat bags made up for them. And year after year, I just had to keep spending more and more, buying lots more candy, because these kids would know, and they would tell their friends the next year, hey, we know where the guy with all the candy is. And every year there was just more and more children coming to my door. And it was fun. I loved it. It was great. Nobody else in my building did it. Nobody else gave out candy. So I was the only person. They knew me, they knew the candy man, and they knew where to get the good stuff. And then I moved in 2012, and I had to move. That's another story. I didn't have to move, but I sort of had to move. Anyway, so my neighbors from my old apartment house told me the children are coming for candy. They said, "Where's the candy man?" And they had to say, "No, sorry, he moved. He doesn't live here anymore." So I felt really bad about that. But, that's life. People move on. We had about 10 years or so of giving out candy to all of the kids in the neighborhood and their friends. And I suppose, they also did go trick-or-treating on their own. But it was really fun that I was able to take a lot of the kids on their first trick-or-treating outing back in, I think it was 2002. I think so. Yeah, around there, 2001, 2002. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, but that was fun. So, let's see what's going on in Zurich. Now, I'm sure that there are clubs and parties and things. People have parties, and people are not art. Since I've lived in this town and the last town over where I moved to before, no trick-or-treaters come around, and that's okay. That's all right. I'm happy to not have to spend so much money on candy anymore. So here we have in Zurich, it says, admittedly, Halloween is not a tradition in Zurich, but it is possible to be spooked here. There are lots of interesting things to see. Halloween does not have a strong tradition in Zurich. Here and there, children ring on doorbells to demand trick or treats. Otherwise, however, activities are largely limited to private parties or individual bars that take up the theme and are decorated accordingly. Nevertheless, for all fans of creepy stories and adrenaline-pumping activities, there are few places and experiences in Zurich that will send shivers down your spine. So here's one, the Moulagen Museum, and it looks like it's a cast museum cast. And so let's take a look at that. Lifelike images of diseased body parts. So let's take a look at that. The Moulagen Museum. Insight into Zurich's medical teaching. Lifelike images of diseased body parts. So they took casts, of diseased body parts, wax molds of skin diseases which were previously used in the medical sector for educational and documentation purposes. Let's see if we can pick that up there. There we go. There was one. Take a look at that. Look at all of those faces and, I don't know. I don't even know what's there. Let's take a look at the next one. Is there another one? No, that's only one picture. So that was the Moulagen Museum. Let's see if there's anything else. Well, it's closed now. Here it is Thursday, but because it's after 5. So they're only open Wednesday, 2 to 6, Saturday, 1 to 5. So it is after 6 right now, so that's why it says they're closed. And here is the address. Here is the Culturama Museum of People, a real mummy brain preparations and bat skeletons. Visitors can find even more fascinating, creepy objects at the Culturama Museum on the evolutionary history of life. So let's take a look at that. Interactive museum, history and evolution of life, fossils and bizarre exhibits, and fascinating facts. So let's take a look at what they've got here. Here they have some pictures. Ooh, that's interesting. Some fossils there. And a dinosaur. Well, if you didn't know that, I also live down the road from the Dinosaur Museum. That's not this museum, but it is the dinosaur museum that I live near. Here's some children, hands-on, learning about stuff. Let's go back and see what else they have here. So, interactive, pterodactyl, and some other human skeletons and other things back there you can see. And back to this guy showing something. Set off on an exciting voyage of discovery back to the origins of time at Culturama. Fossils, skeletons, and relics from hand axes to mummies highlight the evolution of mankind and animals. And here are the prices, and here are the times. Okay. Go to the next one. The Night Watchman Tour. Participants on the tour through Zürich at night hear the thrilling, gruesome, but also amusing stories. Walking tour with the Night Watchman. After dusk falls, the Middle Ages come back to life in the narrow, winding alleys around St. Peter's Church. Take a look at this guy. He's the Night Watchman. Take you on a tour. So if you ever been like on the, you ever hear about the Jack the Ripper tours, I guess that's something sort of like this. In the dark alleyways of medieval Zurich, the night watchmen were important guards. They not only called out the hours, but also, in particular, were on the lookout for fires and shady characters, such as drunkards and thieves. So, that sounds like something fun. You can have it in German, English, or French. Of course, you have to register, let them know what language you want your thing in. Only $15. I guess it's about an hour or so. Don't know how long. And here are dates. And yeah, that looks interesting. Uetliberg Lantern Path. Path up. Now, Uetliberg is a small mountain hill kind of thing above the city of Zurich. The path up the Uetliberg is quite eerie in the early morning when it is still dark and foggy, and crackling and rustling noises can be heard in the undergrowth, but the steep climb is rewarded with a fantastic sunrise. Normally people take a cute little train up there, but here they have the lantern path, and here you can see this is really like the train line going up there. And Uetliberg here you can see is the Lake of Zurich around there. It's a radio tower, I guess, there. And all this is just part of the lake, and it goes way out in the back. But I've been there, and I've videoed some things over at the lake before. Zurich's local mountain, the Uetliberg, can be reached on foot or by train. Yeah, I've been there, and I've gone by train, not by foot. So here's some other things, other views of it. Oh, what's going on with this website? It looks weird. I guess that's the radio tower there. Looks like a old photograph or painting. It is a nice, I mean, you get a really great view up there. It is really nice up there. Get to overlook the whole city, and people can climb up at this. This is the radio tower. Can't go all the way to the top, but it is a thing you can climb up, walk up all of those steps. Get some good video or photographs up there. Massaoula Hall, spiders and flying foxes. You can also face your fear of flying foxes, spiders, and snakes in the Massaoula rainforest at Zurich Zoo. I didn't know about that. A rainforest at the zoo. That looks interesting. If you like creepy crawlies and, you know, insects and bugs and things like that. It looks interesting there. It's at the Zürich Zoo, the Massawa Rainforest. The zoo acts as an ambassador for the protection of a fascinating world of wildlife and connects the visitors to this endangered paradise of biodiversity in Madagascar. So the tour, you can immerse yourself in the rainforest and acquire in-depth insight to Zürich Zoo's Massawa project. That also sounds interesting. Not for the faint-hearted escape room. Who will make it out of this spooky, haunted house in Zurich in time? Well, let's take a look at that. Have to go to another website. The House of Ghosts Escape Room Adventure. Well, what to expect? In 1920, in a dark forest not far from Lake Zurich, a dead, dismembered woman was found in a house. The severed arms were found in the freezer, the legs on the roof, and her torso nowhere. It was said that these were the animals of the forest. The police could never solve the case. Evidence was missing. Said house was terrifying. Lots of cops tried. The last detective or cop to enter the house was never seen again. It was 1958. You and your friends decided to sneak into this very house to find out what happened almost 100 years ago. But be careful. Ghosts in the house can awaken at any time. So that looks interesting. I've never been to an escape room. And here you can choose your dates. And book a tour, book a game. They have other games. In Search of Gulliver, Alice in Wonderland, House of Ghosts, Pixel, based on arcade games from the 80s, The Archaeologist, Sector, Grand Hotel Noir, Nowhere. Well, that looks interesting. Not something I would do unless I had a few friends to do it with. Then I might. Zoological Museum, real or mythical creatures. Visitors can marvel at the fabulous creatures, extinct animal species, and many a creepy insect. The Natural History Museum of the University of Zurich has quacking, shrieking, grunting, and chirping. The museum is home to 1,500 animals and skeletons, and many can be heard. Let's take a look at that. Of course, these museums are open all year round, but, for people who like, and children who like these types of things, and for Halloween around this time is kind of spooky sometimes, can be. From the large frogmouth to the minke whale, and from the Trichia villosa to the common wombat, the animal world features a vast range of forms and colors here. Number 8, the Wunderkammer, miracle room, miracle chamber. Objects, stuffed animals, and magic abound in taxidermist Christian Link's cabinet of curiosities. Curiosity chamber. Whoa. Let's see. Well, now they've taken me over to Instagram. Wasn't expecting that. Let's see if we can go to the actual website. Nope. It's just his stuff here. Let's take a look at. Well, I'm not going to log into, well, you can see. We're going to log into it. The sewer ditch, Zürich in the Middle Ages. This fox trail leads, among other things, into a narrow and dark underground passage that had a very special function in the Middle Ages. Well, that's something I've never heard of. A tour of the ancient sewers of Zürich. Let's see. I guess above and underground. Fox Trail Gaia. I really don't know what this is about. Let's see. Far away from the lively city center Gaia, you will explore the green parts of the city. In Altstetten, the trail leads you to the colorful container quarter Fogo. From there, the green pedestrian bridge will take you safely over the A1, that's a highway. There is soon nothing more to be seen from traffic. You walk along the Limmat Uferweg. Limmat is a river, across the Werdinsel Island, a unique spot in Zurich on Hohenklingenallee. You enjoy the view before passing the vineyard at the end of the trail. Well, 2.5 to 3.5 hours. It's a walking tour. Looks a bit expensive. I wouldn't want to walk for 3.5 hours for $32, and I don't think I could walk for 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours, but for some people, they like that sort of thing. And so here are some other things happening in autumn, what to do in the fall. Hikes, wine tastings, culture, and culinary specialties. So, there you have it, people. That is Halloween in Zurich, in Switzerland. And I hope you enjoyed it. You know, it's interesting and it's nice to know about where other people live and what goes on there. Because education is the most important thing. Well, not the most, but is one of the most important things, to get educated about people who live in different places, because Halloween can be spooky anywhere. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, happy Halloween, and you'll see me later.